Hello and welcome back, dear viewers, to a brand new episode of your show, The Untold. My name is Daij Al-Hutiri and I'm here with my co-host, Hiba Al-Qahtani. How are we doing?
Well, I'm doing really great, and hopefully, all the audience are really going to enjoy our episode, especially that we're going to have a very special guest today.
Yes, it's all dedicated for the families out there, for the parents. It's for your kids, so stay with us. And we're going to have Miss May AlShawaf.
Yes.
She's a child behavior specialist, so it's very important. Stay with us. We'll be back.
And dear viewers, really happy to welcome with us our guest in today's show. Welcome with us, May AlShawaf. Really happy to have you here.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's a delight.
So, of course, at the beginning, we'd like to know more about you. Why did you choose this kind of profession?
I first got into child behavior as a normal mom trying to understand my kids' behaviors. I wanted to know how to modify those behaviors, why those behaviors are happening. So I started taking courses, diplomas. Then I realized this is it. This is what fascinates me. Childhood, education, psychology, mental health. And here I am.
Amazing.
Okay, so this is like, let's say, the journey, right?
Yes.
What actually inspired you to be in this field?
Someone wise once told me your hardships in life lead you to your life message. So as a parent for a child with learning difficulties, I realized that the most important thing parents need is support. You can't advocate for your child without having professional support at your back.
And I guess you have to have the knowledge, right? So you have the perspective, so you know how to deal with stuff.
For example, if you go to any normal therapist and they don't have any background with special needs, and you'll tell them life is hard, life is frustrating,
I guess they won't
they're not
understand.
going to get you. They're not going to get you. If you're someone professional in special needs, if you have the knowledge, if you have the experience, you know how hard it is. You know how this mom is suffering. You know what she's going through.
Right.
That's right.
This is where the challenge actually rise, because people are still having that kind of, let's say, lack of awareness, especially when it comes into dealing with learning difficulties. People would say learning difficulties, that means that's, for instance, the child doesn't understand math or the child doesn't know how to, let's say, read and so on. But I think there is a bigger aspect when it comes into that kind of, let's say, concept. So maybe you'd like to elaborate more.
Learning difficulties could mean a range of conditions that can affect the brain's ability to process not just knowledge and information, also skills. So you would see a lot of people with learning disabilities or learning difficulties. They have issues with life skills. They have issues with social interaction.
Yes. So this kind of disorder do actually happens and occur for these cases.
Yes.
And I mean, we do, talking more about that, we've seen so many recently, let's say, cases talking more about autism, but in the early stages where people get mixed it up with kids who cannot, let's say, speak. For instance, the ones who cannot hear you well, they cannot, let's say, imitate a word. Therefore, they would consider them into autism, and then you enter into different kind of, let's say, field, which is difficulties in learning, all of these aspects.
Actually, you said speech delay. Speech delay is one of the signs that can tell you this child could have a learning disability later on, or a learning difficulty. It's one of the most important signs.
Yes. And people, even when it comes into kids, because kids have different kind of age development. We have kids that speak from 1 to 9 months, and we have kids who actually speaks and develop speaking within 3 years. So this is where the gap starts to rise,
And the signs start to show. This is what
Yeah.
you wanted to say. This is what I wanted to mention.
Yes.
So what exactly what does, I would say, the early intervention play? Where does it play the role, in addressing the difficulties and the children?
Early intervention is crucial. It's the proactive approach. We're catching something before it happens. Research has shown that if people do early intervention, there would be better academic performance, there would be better social outcomes, a higher self-esteem for the child itself. But there's a misconception about that. A lot of people think that early intervention is a magical pill. Once you do it, my child's disability will disappear, the difficulties will not keep rising, but it's not that. Early intervention is something that helps the family either outcome the disability or outcome the difficulties, or at least be prepared and have a supportive environment for that child.
So it doesn't have anything to do with, fixing a problem. It's
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. There are some problems that if you do early interventions that can be fixed. It all depends on the child, his developmental age, his specific condition. Let's do speech therapy for one child. He'll start speaking. Another child might not, because it's all depending on where they're at, what's their condition.
Yeah, so it's varied also from a child to a child, because we've seen and we can notice that even when it comes into the intelligence of the child itself, it's different from different aspects. Like you can see someone talented in a way and talented in something else. So when it comes into this kind of behavior, the most important case is the child, and we want to have a very healthy environment for this child to start to develop, to start to find the right, let's say, path and right way for him to, let's say, overcome this difficulty. So from your own perspective and point of view, how can we adjust the lifestyle of the child in order for it not to go backwards, but to go forward from the stage he's in?
I believe in not just early intervention, continuous work on the child. Learning and developing is a continuous process. We don't just do early intervention and then stop. You keep going. You could keep having therapies, you could have tuitions all the time. The child who has any kind of difficulty or struggle in their life should keep going. We're always changing our goals. Now I want to speak. Later on, I want to be able to shower and have independent skills.
Yes.
Later on, I want to go to the supermarket alone. Later on, I want to drive a car. Every age group has a different target and different goal.
Indeed, indeed.
So I guess this is considered as one of the strategies.
Yes, yes.
Because I wanted to ask, what is the strategy for the parents actually to counter the problem, or to support their families in terms of like you having a speech with their families? What kind of strategies you offer so that they can contain the issue?
One of the most important thing is family and parent training and education. Parents should be well aware of their child's condition. They should be well aware of how to deal with that condition. They should have all the resources. They should know all the laws and regulations in their country, what accommodations are available for their child. Second thing is, we should provide support groups. Families should be able to connect. They should meet each other. They should share experiences. They should have a sense of community. One important thing also is we should help families to create individualized family plans. Having a special needs child or a child with learning difficulty in the family is a struggle. It's a burden. The whole family should be prepared. The whole family should be involved to avoid having catastrophic problems later on.
Can you elaborate and tell us more about the individual family plan?
Let's say you're a family with a special needs child. You have certain responsibilities. My child goes to therapy every day. They have swimming practice. They have tuition. The mother needs to drop here. The father needs to drop there. We have other kids in the house. We have kids who have to learn how to accommodate their sibling, how to treat their sibling according to their condition, how to accept having a special needs brother or sister in the house. Your other kids might also need therapy to express their feelings, to express their anger, to express how it's unfair. My mom is always busy with my disabled brother. It's a burden. And if families are not prepared, and if they did not put a plan ahead of time, what are we going to do as a family? Who's going to travel with the kids if the mom needs to stay with the disabled child? What are we going to do later on when our parents are elderly and they grow up and they can't take care of that sibling? How can we prepare our children to take care of their sibling in the future? This is going to be your responsibility. If you don't accept it from the beginning, how is life going to go on later on?
May,
Yes.
this is very, I know this is very important actually. Yes, it is.
Yes.
It is a must.
It's one of the, let's say, aspect in life that people wouldn't, let's say, take it in consideration, especially if you've never been associated with such matter itself. So it's very important to always have that kind of sense of awareness, which leads us to talk more about people awareness, especially when it comes into parents. Do you feel that after what you just said, we have that kind of awareness that parents are actually facing in life and keeping it in their mind when it comes into the plan that they have to do, or you still feel that we should spread more awareness?
I think in that point we should spread more awareness. Parents are aware of mental illnesses,
Yes.
developmental disorders. They know the signs, they know what to look for, and now they're less afraid to seek help and ask professional help. But they still don't know what to do. Okay, I've diagnosed my child. We have a different child in the house. What do I do
Yes.
next? Okay, they know that I need to work on that child. But as a family, how do I take care of myself as a parent? How do I take care of the entire family? What should we do? People still lack the knowledge in this area.
Because this kind of duty always lies on the mother, and therefore we've seen mothers been suffering that they are always focusing on their child, neglecting other siblings, neglecting other responsibilities when it comes into life. So I believe, yes, we do have to have that kind of, and I think the most important thing is, as you just said, having community, which is
Yes.
something that we don't really have that much aware of.
We should always think of it that this is not the child's condition. This is a family.
Whole family, yes.
We're a neurodivergent family, or sometimes now they'll call it a neurospicy family. We have a child in the house, he's struggling. All of us should be soldiers working towards helping that child have a normal life, or let's say a comfortable life. Also us, we want to have a better quality for our life.
Indeed.
We don't want our life to keep running away from us while we're following this child's demands and whatever this child needs, while we forget what we need to do for ourselves as parents, as siblings, as entire family.
Yes, indeed.
You know what might be awful, Hiba and May, if you have a family who would just not seek help, right? So how can you approach parents who, don't seek help or resistant to, asking for, more knowledge and, strategies and all of the things that might help them?
Most parents who are afraid of seeking help are afraid of the stigma associated with children with disabilities or children with learning difficulties. So if you work on the stigma, on removing the old ideas, on helping them understand that changing their child's behavior, working on their disability, actually enhances your life quality, or you're going to have a better life. Life is going to be less stressful for you. This approach lures parents into accepting having a child with disabilities, accepting that we need to work on that child. Later on, gradually you see parents accepting the idea.
They will get used to it.
Yeah, one of the best strategies I've used with parents is telling them it's an experimental phase. Let's give ourselves a 3 months period. Let's put a plan for you as a family. Let's put a plan for the child. Follow the plan, follow the routine. After 3 months, we'll assess it. If you see improvement, good, that's good. If you don't see any improvement, no harm done, we'll go back to where we were. After the 3 months period, you see most parents either see improvement and they like it and they want to keep going, or even if they didn't see improvement, their eyes would have opened up on the lack of skills in their kids, and they'll realize the importance of working on the child.
So eventually they accept it.
Yes.
That's it is important.
Yes, and that's the most important thing, is to have that kind of sense that we have to go to have a plan and to consider, let's say, on continuous, let's say, deal when it comes into dealing with the child itself. But sometimes we have, let's say, a busy lifestyle. Parents do want to be there for their child 100%. But yet again, that kind of sense of guilt is actually being, let's say, presented on the table, especially if it's from the mother or the father. For, let's say, God forbid, anything happened to the child by mistake, which incidents could happen, immediately they will feel like we're responsible, we didn't give that 100% and so on. So when it comes into you dealing as a coach in that matter of sense, have you dealt with different kind of, let's say, family aspects when it comes into such positions?
I always tell parents, you should ask for help. When you're raising this child and life is hectic nowadays and we have other responsibilities and we're busy, don't be ashamed of asking for help. Your friend, your mother, your sister, don't be afraid of providing professional help in the house. We're not talking just about house nannies or house help. We're talking about professional help for
Yes.
your disabled child. Bring someone to tutor you, to help you, to shadow that child and give guidance. Have a support system for yourself. Feeling guilty, all parents feel guilty, whether they have disabled kids or regular kids.
Right.
That's
Try
right.
to
That's
stop being harsh on yourself. Take a gentler approach when you're dealing with yourself, and think of yourself as a human. You have limits, you have boundaries, you have things that you can't tolerate. So don't be ashamed of feeling guilty. Don't be ashamed if something wrong happened. We're all learning in the
Yes,
process.
definitely. All right, so I guess we reached the moment where we take this very quick break, and then we'll be back to dear viewers.
And we are back, dear viewers, to continue with our guests. So, talking more about being a parent is something very, of course, important to keep in consideration when it comes into dealing with our kids, and especially methods that we deal with them. So, as a coach in that matter of sense, we've seen so many parental, deals with old-fashioned, and then there's the modern parenting. So is there any kind of, let's say, aspect of differences when it comes into the two, titles? Is there really a new concept that's modern parenting and old-fashioned parenting?
Yes, the old parenting styles was rigid, strict. They had boundaries. It was harsh. The modern parenting takes a more flexible, gentler approach, and you see modern parenting focuses more on the emotional intelligence of the kids, the emotional well-being of the children overall.
Yes.
And May, what's your thoughts on the balance, let's say, between structure and freedom in child's upbringing?
Yes, there should be a balance. Structure is necessary. Kids need structure, they need consistency, they need boundaries. Boundaries help them create self-discipline. But on the other hand, freedom gives them creativity, they're more exploring, they are more independent, and they can acquire problem-solving skills. So it's a balance between both. There's no black and white, it's all gray.
So we always have this thing, me and my husband, is the bad cup and good cup. So one of us has to be good with the kid, and one of us has to be, let's say, the strict one. So this is where the challenge always lies, is because we have different kids. So we have the eldest one, and then we have the youngest one, and so on, and the middle child, who's always the same between. So we have these kind of feelings that happens, which is when it comes into giving punishment, or let's say giving order for the child. If it's the eldest child, you'll always be strict, but when it's the last sibling, then you'll be like so soft and so sweet and so kind.
All parents are the same.
Yeah, so this is where the struggle really lies, because you don't want to have that kind of, let's say, separation between your children, and you don't want them to feel
Bad cop, good cop doesn't work as parents. You should be the bad cop, good cop at the same time, and your husband should be bad cop.
Well, I always tell him that, like, I should be the same, but it's like, no, you be the soft, I'll be the bad cop. So yeah,
if it works for you. But sometimes you see kids know how to maneuver their parents.
That's Talia.
They
that's
know
my
what to
Talia.
do.
My Talia.
You've
Yes.
experienced.
Yes.
So, some kids know that this parent will give me more freedom. I'll ask those questions. I'll have those requests to this specific parent.
Yes.
While this parent is firm, I'll deal with them with other things.
Like, we actually have the naughty corner only for Talia. It's like, go sit in your naughty corner. She's like,
It's her
I
corner.
don't want to be a naughty. So, yeah, it's only for Talia.
All right. So regarding also the question she asked, regarding we have both old school, I guess, and the modern way of communicating with the kids. So some argue that the old ways or methods are more effective than the modern ones. What's your take on that?
We can't deny that old parenting had the disciplinary approach, and kids turned out more disciplined. The boundaries, the expectations of the kids, they were clear. You know the consequences. But it was harsh. A lot of people from the older generation turned out with emotional damage, mental health issues. We see a lot of dysfunctional relationships between parents and their children from the older generation. So you can't use the older parenting style as your only strategy. It doesn't work nowadays.
Well, maybe because the old method, it took its time to develop. So what if the modern strategy or method took its time and then developed the same results? Wouldn't that be possible? I'm just saying. I don't
If
know.
you're gonna use the balance between both, maybe yes. But if you're flexible all the time, the time we're living in is scary. You can't give your kids
100%.
all the freedom they need. You must have some boundaries, some limits, to help them be prepared for the future, to take care of themselves later on.
Yes, I do believe that mixing both methods is very important. I mean, we really do have to be strict in a way, but yet again, we have to really be connected to their emotion kind of sense, which is something I think we did lack, especially in back in the days. Like, we always have this conflict in the family when it comes into dealing with us and then dealings with our different cousins from different kind of age, like the 90s and the 2000s. So
Yes.
the thing that happens is like it's forbidden for you to do this at that time, but nowadays it's like, no, it's okay, she can go out, for instance, with her friends. It's like, that didn't happen to me back in the days.
Yes.
Like, why was that actually
Yes.
happening? So I do believe that having the sense of mixing both within the new generation is very important in that matter of
Yeah,
sense.
kids nowadays, not all of them are ready and prepared to take the freedom you're going to give them and use it appropriately. If you believe your child is ready, okay, go for it. But if they're not and they still need the boundaries, I'm with boundaries.
Yes, boundaries are really important.
Yes.
Right. So I guess we have this experience where we have strict parents and there's the more flexible ones. Of course, each and everyone have his own method, and you know, through guiding their kids. So, in your opinion, which one would lead the kids to have a better life? Having, you know, being under strict guidance, or giving them freedom to do whatever they
Like I said, it depends on the child. Neither this nor
so
that.
they have to try both.
You have to see your child. You have to know their developmental age, their capabilities. Are they aware of taking care of themselves? Are they ready to be thrown in the world?
But it's the parents' responsibilities
Yes,
as well.
it's your responsibility as a parent to assess your child. Are they ready or not? I use both strategies with my kids. One has the freedom because I trust that she knows what to do. The other one still needs the routine and the structure. So you can use both in the same
Yeah.
household.
Yes,
Alright.
that's Maria and Talia. Maria has the freedom, Talia has all this restriction. So talking more about also developing that kind of sense for the child. I mean, when do you feel that the child starts to feel that kind of sense of responsibility? Is there a certain age that we, as a parent, let's say, start to approach that kind of idea that, you know, it's okay for you to choose what you want as a hobby, as a food, because we have these moments in life, especially when we're raising the kids, that you should go, let's say, for bed every day at 7 p.m., for instance, and then they reach to a point in an age where it's okay to, let's say, skip 7 p.m. and go up, let's say, late until 9 p.m. So when is that kind of concept of, let's say, presenting that kind of sense of responsibility and freedom in a way?
Some kids early on catch on the sense of responsibility if you taught them. Some kids, without teaching them, they're gonna know how to be independent and how to be responsible. Other kids, no, they still need the structure. So like I said, you should see the signs. Is your child ready? Can they manage themselves without my 100% guidance?
Yes.
Can they follow my rules even if I'm not there? If they respect your rules and you're not there, it means comfortably you can say I'm kind of there. They can respect my presence even if I'm not there. I'm almost there.
Yes, that's the most important thing, is to have that kind of sense, you know.
Definitely, yes.
Yes.
All right, May, focus with me here. All right, I want to send a message for all the upcoming fathers, for the future ones, all right? For me, myself as well. So, do you have any specific advice maybe for those, to, like maybe a sign to keep an eye on or something? I have to be prepared for something. specifically
regarding disabilities
regarding
and special
yes,
needs and
yes.
learning difficulties.
Please give me something so that I can keep it in mind, and also our dear viewers to note it down.
One of the most important signs, language delay. If you have a young child with language delay,
So this is the very like the common sign, I would say.
one of the most
One of the
important
most
signs.
common signs. All right.
Assess language delay. Then you should also see their organizational skills, problem solving skills. Can the child maneuver life on their own? Then you should also see their following instructions and directions. You'll tell a child, go bring that. Can he bring one item or two? Can he remember 3 items? Then later on, when they go into school, for, of course, academic struggles. If you see academic struggles, it's a sign there's something wrong. Some sign also that parents always don't pay attention to. If your child doesn't like to go to school, there's something wrong going on. Either emotionally, socially, academically, there's something wrong going on.
But almost all kids don't like to go to school, right?
Some kids, they don't like to go to school in
But
the
they go.
normal sense, but there's a child who'll resist going to school. You will push them through the door. They're going to go to school, start crying from beginning to end. They'll call you constantly, come pick me up. There's something wrong.
Oh, okay. This is. I mean, I remember crying at the door of the school
Yeah.
back in the days, but eventually, I made friends. I enjoyed my time at school. So
And kids really get scared from early, let's say, experience, especially when it comes into these beginnings. But I do believe in what you just said, is that you always have to listen to your child in that kind of sense, because I really did have that kind of experience where I actually took my daughter to the KG stage and the nursery stage, and she was on constant crying that I don't want to go to school, teacher's angry. And then I discovered that she has a kind of, let's say, a situation that happened when she hears a loud voice, she really get terrified, and she doesn't know how to clarify that the teacher is actually talking within a tone that means for everyone to listen to her, and she thought that she's just yelling all the time.
Yes.
So this is kind of
So
situation.
it was an emotional
Yes.
behavioral issue. I think most parents neglect their
Indeed.
children's feelings. Focus on what they're saying, exactly what they're telling you, how they're feeling.
Yes.
Because sometimes a child will tell you, I hate that specific teacher, and eventually it turns out he has a learning difficulty in that subject.
Yes.
So everything your child says about school, pay attention to that.
Like my daughter used to say, teacher's angry, teacher's angry. And then I understand that the teacher raises her voice.
voice
That means
just
that
to-
she's really scared of it. Yeah.
So I guess I'm all about advices here. So because this is a very important and interesting topic, and everyone can learn something.
Yes,
And
I think one of the most important thing people would like to know is talking more about these difficulties. Like, are they considered for a specific, let's say, kind of symptoms, for instance, or disorders? Like, are they labeled? Are they titled?
Some of them, yes, some of them, no, because there are 2 terms. There's learning disability, which is a neurological issue, and there are specific neurological disorders like dyscalculia, dyslexia, ADHD. And then there's the term which is broader, which is learning difficulty. It means there are learning challenges. The person's reading, writing, math skills could be affected, but those come because of environmental factors, behavioral and emotional issues.
Yes, yes.
all right. So Miss May, we ran out of time, but I'm really interested in one last advice for the parents before we conclude.
I always tell parents, stay away from perfectionism. When dealing with yourself, don't be so harsh on yourself. We are all humans. Accept the fault in yourself as a human and as a parent. Parenting is a continuous learning process. You learn as you go, and there's no right and wrong. Don't let yourself reach a point where you're burnt out, and have more realistic expectations of yourself as a parent. We're all learning, you're human, and kids will respect you more if they realize you're also human. I'm not an authority figure there. I'm also human, learning with you as I go.
You heard the coach. All right. So I guess we will take this really quick break before we wrap the episode. So stay with us.
And with that, dear viewers, we're towards the end of today's episode of The Untold. I mean, it was a very richful episode that we actually did enjoy. And I think, in my point of view, I was really educated through our guests.
Yes, for all those, I mentioned upcoming parents, fathers out there, it's very important to take notes. Keep an eye on the signs and everything she mentioned. It's very important for our lives to, be aware of these things. So, yes, we hope you enjoyed it, because we did as well. And yes, we hope to see you again in the upcoming episode of The Untold. See you again later.